Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In last video we have seen that how to create auto-populated CRUD operation without DB connection. In this video we'll learn to create controllers with model and DB connection so that we can see how we can do the CRUD operation in the table. Let's quickly see that how we can do it. Let's go to the controller, right click here and go to add, click on controller. So we have seen that there is multiple template to create API methods. So in the last video we have chosen API controller with read write action. In this video we'll choose API controller with action using entity framework. Let's select it and click on add. So it will ask you for the model, which model you want here, and then the DB context and the controller name which you want to create. So here we don't have the model right now. Just cancel it and go to cancel this one as well and go to the database, open SQL Server. Here we have created multiple tables during the SQL Server tutorial. So just click on new query and drag and drop one of the existing table users, and then we'll see how many rows of data we have. So here we have 4 columns and 3 rows. So username, email, city, and the first column is user ID. Let's do what are the data types we have. So just right click on the users table, go to the script table and click here create to and click on new query editor window. So it will generate the script what we have, or you can say that while creating users table we have this script, so it is generated here. Let's quickly go to the Visual Studio and create the model folder and then add one class here. Let's class name is users, because the auto implemented properties, if we are going to implement DB context or entity framework, we have seen that model is required. So here we are creating the model. So just give the model name and then click on add. So it will generate the class here, and then now we need to create the properties. So first is user ID. So just do PROP and use double tap. It will generate the property. Now we need to create the properties for other. Let's make it a string and then just copy paste 2 times more as we have 4 columns. So just quickly go there in the database and then copy the user ID and the username and then email, and the last one is city. Just copy paste. So now our class model is completed. Now here you can see that it's user ID which need to be a primary. So here what we need to do on the user ID, just use square bracket and inside the bracket write key and then press control dot. It will show you what namespace is required to show the key or to add the key on the property. Just click on using and then you will see that this namespace is added on the user. So now we can see that the color of key is changed. Now we have created the model. Let's go to the controller again and go to the controller and then select API, and then we need to select this template. Let's add it. So if you will not see the data context class, then you can add it from here and then click on add. It will create the data context for you. and here we need to select the model, and then we need to specify the controller name. Let's say at this time I'm using user control. You can choose any name here to make the controller, and then click on add. So as soon as we click on add, the scaffolding feature .NET will start building the controllers with the data, with the code that will connect with the database and will have the actions in the API. So just wait for some time. It is, as you can see that it was generating. Now it is generated the code. You can see that user controller, what we have given the name of that, and then it is using just go there, see the model it is using. Just right click over the model and then go to the implementation. You can see that we will go to the users table, users class again. So this is referencing here the users table, users model I can say, and then here we have the get method. It generated initially, it is given this first web API context. This is the context, this is DB context you can say, and then we have HTTP get. This is generated to get the data from the database, and then this is based on user ID what we will pass, and then here we can see that it is put, and which is responsible to update the record or modify the record into the database, and go to the post user. It is HTTP post. We can see that we can just change the data into the database. That means we can create the, you can see here is just adding the users in the users table, and the last, and then it is moving to this get users method, so that once the user, we will add the users into the user table, it will quickly show you all the data. So here we have the delete method. So this is delete action method, which is responsible to delete the data. You can see that it is finding first whatever the given ID we will give, and then based on that, if it is null, then it is returned in not found, and else it will remove the record from the database, and it is doing the save change. And at the last, we are using users existence. You can go here and see the reference where it is using and for what purpose it is using. You can see that it is put user, and this is to just see that here it is ID. If it is not matching, then bad request. If it is matching, then it is modifying the record. So whatever the modification we are giving to the API, it will do the modification. So this is a feature for scaffolding in the Visual Studio. So it will generate the code as well as have the connection. So in real-time application, we will not keep the DB context in this controller. We will keep in separate file. So we will cover those tutorial in upcoming videos. So let's quickly run it and see what will happen. So just keep the breakpoint here. So this is how we can make the breakpoint for the method. You can see that. So this is CRUD, as it is saying. Let's open the notepad and see. I said CRUD. So that means create, read, update, and delete. So all CRUD operation has been implemented with the use of, without writing a single line of code, it is generated the code as well as it is having the DB connection. Before running the application, we need to check the configuration file. So just click on appsetting.json file, and then we must ensure that the database connection is string. And then, so once it is correctly mentioned here, then we can start the application and run the application to test the functionality. So let's quickly run it and then see how we can use these actions. Just click here and take the breakpoint here and keep the breakpoint here as well. Okay, and then run it in a debug mode. Just click here and it will open your application or API in the browser. So this Swagger is already discussed in the last video as well. So this Swagger is helping us in doing the testing of the application, and it is showing the controller and their action in the best way. You can see that it's a structured way when what we are having when we are using scaffolding. Sorry, it's a Swagger feature, Swagger functionality. So here we can see that this is users, controller, and weather forecast. So that was already there when we create the API. It's a default one. So here we have created it. Go to this users and let's try out this one. Click on try out. So because this Swagger is giving us the opportunity to test the API as well. So it is not required to do the testing with the Postman. So it is giving us at a single point where we can do the testing. So just execute it and then see what will happen. So it will jump directly on the action method, and you can go ahead with this and you can see that the context is not null, right? And then just execute it. It is loading, and in few seconds it will load the data. You can see that the user ID, username, email, city. Let's quickly see in the database. Just click here and go to the another tab of query analyzer and write select star from DB, that is table name, and then execute it. You can see that Pradeep, Mohit, Ram, and the email ID and the city and the user ID. You can see the similar structure here, the body has the data. So this is how we can test this users. And let's quickly jump on the get by user ID and let's try it out. And as we have 1, 2, 3 only, let's try with 4 first. What will happen? See, it will try to find, but there is no user. It's associated with user ID 4. So you can see that 404 because there is not found. So there is no user, so it is saying not found because we have mentioned here not found. So this is 4, not 4. And then change the user ID. Let's keep it 1 and then try again, execute. Then it is again jumping on the code and you can execute with this. So if you want to execute line by line, then you can use this one, this, or you can see that it is F10. We can press the keyboard, and otherwise we can execute or F5, press F5, then it will hit or execute in one go. So it will not execute one by one. We can see that the user ID 1 is present now. Let's change something. Let's change here and use some data. Let's try to post the data. That means we are going to create the user. Let's go here first and then see what all the data we have here. Go to the columns and you can see that it is not null. And let's see the design and we will know that what all data. So we can see that it is auto generated column. So in that case, user ID 1 is not required. We can keep it like this and then change the username. Let's say Mike, email mike@gmail.com, and the last one is city. Let's say city is Noida, and then click here, execute. Then see what will happen here. If it is having some problem, then we can solve this problem and go ahead with this. See, there is no problem, so it executed successfully. You can see that here we found that 4 completed. Let's execute it because it will jump directly to the create action. Let's see, and go to the users, not this one, it is inbuilt method. Go to get users, it will directly jump to the get users, and then get user is responsible to pull all the data. Let's see. So this is all data related to the user which newly created. Right here, let's execute this query and see Mike has been created. Let's try checking put, that is updating the record. Let's try it out and put it 4 here, and then just change the data. Let's say from Noida to, let's say, Lucknow. Okay, and then click execute, and you can go ahead with the code, or you can use F5 simply. You can see that the response code is 404, so that is completed, and you can see that 200 code is a response and it is saying success, so that means the update is completed. Let's say see in the database whether it is completed or not. Just execute it and then see this is changed. So this is how we can check update. And then last one is the delete one. Let's open it and try it out and make it 4 as the newly created record and execute it. It is hitting the code behind, and this time I'm not going to execute line by line, just hit F5, and this way you can see that it is successful response. And go to here and execute it. You can see that the 4th record which has been created is deleted. So this is how we can do the CRUD operation in Web API, and using Swagger we can test each and every API through the UI itself. So in the upcoming videos we'll learn more about Web API. That's it from this video. Thank you for watching.